Potato. Oh. Admittedly, I don't use mobile very often. What up, Eat Well? How you doing? I'm very excited to get my new lenses after stream today, because my vision's been wonky for the last couple weeks, and I even noticed when I was editing clips that like I could see my left eye shifting a little bit here and there. It was weird. It was weird. So I definitely think it's fucking with me. New Googs? Something like that. Timmy! I scared you. I'm sorry, Timmy. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. How'd I scare you? Blah, 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 blah. You're gonna go turn purple and peel all these beets. Peel them! Peeling them. So there are drops for this stream, so that's cool. I yelled potato at you suddenly? Oh, I do that sometimes. So yeah, I'm definitely less interested in PoE 1 than I am PoE 2, but I still think I'm going to be excited for this. Because it looks like it's going to be a rework to Breach, and Breach is one of the few mechanics I actually like in PoE. Excuse me. Meowdy! What up, Quigs? I'm gonna start saying that, like, just whenever I hear a cat meow, like in real life. It's gonna be weird. Kind of like how I say thank you for the follow when I hear a cow. You might make another attempt at PoE. Yeah, I feel like the more I play of PoE 2, the more I want to get into PoE 1. Because like in 0.3 of PoE 2, I did push myself further into the endgame, and I did start enjoying it more. Watch streak reached! Hell yeah. It's weird seeing that on my channel, but I like it. They need to shorten the campaign. Yeah. Like, I was talking about that before, is I do like the way Last Epoch did it, to where, like, you have to play through it on your first character, but then, like, if you have, like what is it? The Temporal Sanctum? One of the dungeons. Like, if you have a key, you can kind of go through it and skip a big chunk of the campaign. If they had ways to do that somehow, whether it be... I don't know how they would go about it, but it would be nice if there were certain portions of it you could skip. That said, people who know the game really well do plow through the entire campaign in 2 or 3 hours, so it might just be that we need to practice it more, learn it better. The more we do it, the easier it'll get. What up, Orby? It was a pleasure getting to meet you. Hell yeah. Likewise. I know we didn't get to interact a ton, but it was cool meeting everybody. I had a lot of fun. I'm doing pretty good. Just chilling. Still recovering a little bit. I've been sleeping my ass off this week. It was a busy weekend. There's a good chance I'll do it again next year, and I'm definitely going to BlizzCon. I don't know if that's your thing, but I'll definitely be there. You're sick? Oh no. I'm not feeling sick yet, but I'm worried. I've been seeing a lot of people posting that they're starting to get symptoms. I've seen a couple people say that they got COVID. I'm like, please no, please no. Am I excited for the next Last Epoch expansion? Yes. The next League is not gonna be the PlayStation release. They did confirm the next one isn't. The expansion is, but the next season isn't. But hopefully soon. BlizzCon would be dope. You don't think you'll be making it? That's fair. You do plan on going to TwitchCon again? Hell yeah. Yeah, like, next year for sure I'm doing BlizzCon. If I can afford it, I'll do TwitchCon also. And then future years, I would love to do both. That'd be sick. Also, what up, Cobalt Mystic? How you doing? It's so dark in here. Who turned out the lights? Hi, Nichols. You know, it kind of feels right having your name back to how it used to be, with the extra Z, but like it feels right. In my heart, I like both, but it feels right. But now I have all these Riz bucks that have the wrong name on them. Oh, thank you for reigniting the sun. It's okay. The names on the bucks don't actually matter. It's okay. It's history. It's history. That's a lot of money. If only it were real. Yeah, Orby, since you know, you probably aren't familiar. Every time I get a sub, I write that person's name on one of these bills and throw it in the jar. I used to do rubber ducks, and then I would like squeak them, like put the person's name on it and squeak it in the camera. And then when these like filled up, I would do like a giveaway. But I decided to mix it up. So I found prop like movie money. That'd be funny. Also, one of my friends sent me this for my birthday, and I think it's hilarious. Chat, we might need it after this stream. Just add water. Just add water. Yeah, me and one of my friends like to send gag gifts to each other, and that's what she went with. Among other things, like a yodeling pickle. Instant wet underpants? Yeah, right? I kind of want to open it just to, like, what does that mean? Open tin, remove cellophane and cardboard wrap, place in water, lightly pull apart, let dry, and wear. You know what? For the right amount of subs, I could do that on stream. Not really, not really. I'm pretty sure that would be against every terms of service on the planet. Lightly pull apart, yep. I don't know what to make of that one. All right, here we go.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Rogers from Grinding Gear Games, and welcome to GGG Live. Today we're going to show you an exclusive reveal of Path of Exile, Keepers of the Flame, which is coming out 1 week from now on October the 31st.
Halloween!
Twitch drops are enabled on today's live stream, so you'll be able to claim your Hive-born Crawler pet by following the instructions below. Without further ado, let's roll the trailer for Path of Exile, Keepers of the Flame.
Yeah, the PoE 1 League starts 1 week from today on Halloween night.
We, the Keepers of the Flame, serve the will of the Dreamer. His instructions whispered from beyond the wall of sleep. But now, the Hiveborn are here, on Rayclast,
Scooters.
and they seek to poison
definitely
our
breach.
world.
I like that bar at the bottom.
We must close their breaches, destroy their hives, slay their breach lords.
You don't like it? It just started. Man, the bitrate though.
And by his gifts, the Dreamer
Oh boy.
provides. They brought this war to our world, but we shall end it, whatever it takes.
Always green. The Genesis tree. They really love their trees, don't they? Thank you for the heartbeat. Appreciate it. Bloodline classes. Okay, so we're getting the what's it called? The A something trade. What is asynchronous trade? That's the word. That's the word. What's new in PoE? It looks like Breach 2.0.
Now, as you can see, this expansion is a true sequel to the Breach League,
There it
first
is.
introduced to the game in 2016. We felt like it was time to progress the story of Breach, bringing with it a slew of new updates to the base game. In today's stream, we'll take you on a deep dive into Path of Exile Keepers of the Flame, beginning with the League mechanic, covering
So
all
this
the
is
fearsome
PoE 1,
challenges
not
it presents,
PoE 2.
and the new twisted ways you'll be able to empower
And
your
there's new
character.
bloodline ascendancies.
After
I
that,
wonder if
we'll
that's
dive
kind
into
of
the
like
newest ascendancy options possible with bloodline classes.
the new...
Then we'll cover the much
what do they call it,
anticipated
PoE
and
2?
synchronous
The Lich
trade
thing.
system coming to Path of Exile 1.
The Abyssal
Afterwards,
Lich?
move into the new Uber Pinnacle bosses, how to access them, and some new drops worthy of the added
Yeah,
difficulty.
PoE 1, yeah.
Finally, we'll cover some notable quality of life improvements before moving on to our supporter packs and challenge rewards. We'll then have a live Q&A session
Watch
where Ziggy D
streaks.
will ask Path of Exile's game directors Mark and myself
What's up,
your
Caden?
questions
How you
from
doing?
Twitch chat. And after the live stream, we'll drop the full patch notes at 11 AM New Zealand time or 3 PM Pacific. So let's get started. I'll hand things over to Mark to introduce the new league.
Hi, I'm Mark Roberts.
Hi, Mark.
Game Director on Path of Exile. Breach is a beloved league that has had an iconic history in PoE. We intend to honor that legacy with our first ever sequel league, Keepers of the Flame. This develops every aspect of Breach, adding new layers to discover.
Oh,
Richer
keep making
lore,
new content for what they
scarier
plan on
bosses,
keeping it going
and entirely
as
new
far as I know
mechanics.
forever.
That said, this is still Breach.
Yeah, they
So
wanted
you
to
will
keep
still
one
be
going
opening
while
breaches
also doing
and
two.
slaying hordes of otherworldly monsters.
Playing games after?
The
No,
Breach
I have
Lords
to run to my eye
found the
doctor
means
after
to
this.
stabilize the connection between their realm and Rayclust. Now, with their grip tightening, we learn their true goal in our world.
So it's going to be a
conquest.
shorter stream today.
The threat they pose has now escalated to home soil. On the coast in Act 1, you'll encounter Aelith, the founder of the Keepers of the Flame. This is a monastic order sworn to
Again,
defend
they just focus PoE
Rayclust
2,
from the
so you
Breach
can have Shadow.
Lords.
They have two teams.
The exit to the mudflats
I wouldn't
has
be
been
surprised if we get the
barricaded
Shadow
by
in December.
Hiveborn, breach monsters that are
We're almost
working
for
to
sure getting
claim
Druid, and
every
I would
inch
not
of
be surprised if we
Rayclust.
get Shadow also.
Aelith can grant you a small spark of the power of the Flame, allowing you to blast away their barricade and move onwards.
Who's Shadow? It's a class that was in PoE 1.
Once you enter the
that
mudflats,
we're
you'll
gonna
find it
eventually get in PoE
infested
2.
with breach monsters. They appear to be constructing a kind of hive, creating strange shapes and structures
Yeah, like an
that
assassin.
absolutely don't belong.
I think Assassin's even one of the Ascendancies,
Time
right?
to purge them with fire. Aelith needs you to protect her as she empowers the flame to do so.
Good luck, Dutch Fatty.
Hold off the assault long enough, and she'll be able to demolish the hive with cleansing flame. In other areas, the gap between worlds is strained. Here, you'll find a more familiar encounter with a new twist. A massive breach hand sunders the space between dimensions, and touching it will open an unstable breach, causing monsters to flood in. If you can slaughter them quickly enough, you can stabilize the breach. This brazen action can draw the attention of Vroon, Marshal of Zesht, who will do everything it can to stop you. Defeating this boss will permanently seal the breach, severing another connection between the Breach Lord's world and Rayclust. These stabilized
Assassin's
breaches are
Creed
similar
Savage
to what
Story,
a
yeah.
breach once was, but
Hi,
with
Seikosa.
upgraded monsters, a success condition to shoot for, UI tracking to keep the player informed of
Oh,
their
he
progress
got
through
head.
the encounter, and satisfying feedback when you do manage to complete the encounter.
And
We've
Flamewood.
taken all the lessons we've learned since the release of Breach
get that
9 years
checked out,
ago
though.
and improved upon it
Listening
in
and
every way
lurking?
we can.
Do it.
However, much of the joy of Breach came from its simplicity. While we want to modernize the mechanic, we don't want to undermine the core experience.
I ain't playing this
You're
shit. Why am I
still
watching? I will
mostly
be playing
just
this shit.
slaughtering hordes of enemies
What you
in a
mean?
circle. Finally, in endgame areas you might run into breach constructions that have been left unopposed for too long and have grown into their full twisted glory. Breach hives.
We're streaking.
Towering flesh-crafted cities in the sky.
If we get Shadow
These are
and
the
it has
visions of the
poison chaos
Breach
skills, you
Lords
want
made
people to
real
be
in
happy?
Rayclust.
Games
teeming
Antique.
with
I don't
breach
go back. Oh, I do
monsters.
go back every league.
You must raid
I
and
play
destroy
pretty much
these
every
cities
new
with the help of
ARPG league.
Aelith and her flame.
Except for Torchlight. Haven't
In
really been
some of
following
these
that one as
hives,
much.
you may even encounter some of the Breach Lords themselves, who will not be happy you're intruding on their planned conquest. Now, let's talk loot. Of course, being in exile is hard work, and you're unlikely to help entirely out of the goodness of your heart. Fortunately, Aelith has power and rewards aplenty, born of the Breach realm itself, to offer you for your assistance. Help her, and she'll bring you to the Monastery of the Keepers, the hallowed halls of her order. Here, you'll find the Genesis Tree, the growing heart of the Keeper's power. On interacting with it, you'll find that this tree has a tree. That's right, it couldn't be Path of Exile unless the tree also had a tree. More importantly, the Genesis Tree is an engine
Such
of
a
unholy
shitter.
creation, and a profitable one. As you complete breach encounters and work more with
It does
Aleph,
have another skill
you'll
tree.
be able to grow the Genesis Tree larger and larger,
Well, not a
sprouting
skill
additional
tree, but
limbs.
another tree.
Each of these limbs, you'll notice, has their own inventories. These can be used for an
Inventories?
unusual method of crafting new items. With this system, you'll be able to grow currency, uniques,
Grow
equipment,
currency.
and a new kind of otherworldly item, grafts. Grafts are breach hands grown directly from the Genesis Tree, born of the same flesh and sinew
many
as the
drugs do they
invading
do?
monsters. These fuse directly to your body, in a completely safe process. Don't worry about it.
All the drugs. Okay.
With grafts,
Got
you
it.
can harness
Understood.
the power of the breach. Some provide passive benefits like this, or this, but they can also grant a
Can grow me
wide
some legs,
selection
yep,
of
yep.
powerful skills. These graft skills can provide a flexible way to fill gaps in your build, offering everything from damage to potent defensive buffs and crowd control. For example, the Battering All graft will call massive arms to erupt from the earth, stunning all those they hit. For some additional pack clearing power, you could consider the Squalling Tool graft. When commanded, this graft will cast Dance in the White, creating a deadly ice tornado which aggressively seeks enemies and fires off bursts of ricocheting projectiles when you critically strike with skills. For some further utility and a useful buff, try out the
yeah.
Storming
I was just
Ish
thinking,
graft.
like, the visual clutters
This can
absurd
be
here.
commanded to call down a ring of bolts from the sky that will leave behind the new Radiant Ground. Radiant Ground grants a potent damage
Holy
buff to
shit.
allies standing within it and makes their hit damage lucky. If you're simply after raw damage, look no further than the Erupting Zoth graft, which causes massive
Like,
eruptions of fire where you command,
I feel like this game is
which then re-erupt when you walk over.
pretty and super ugly
There
at the
are a
same
total
time.
of 16 different graft types you can grow, each with their own skill. You can even unlock a second graft slot as you progress through Aelith's questline. So feel free to mix and match
It
flesh
definitely
tone
looks
horrors
better
to
than
your
it
heart's
used to,
content.
but it still has a big element
Now,
of ugly to it.
grafts aren't just here to make you stronger. They are also your means of feeding the Genesis Tree, which needs constant supplies of graft blood to grow anything useful. You can do this by defeating breach monsters, which will leave behind blood that your graft will automatically
Too hard
collect.
these ARPGs to differentiate enemy fire sometimes.
When you feed this
100%.
blood to the
Agreed
tree,
completely.
your allocated passives will be put to work. This section of the Genesis Tree can be used to grow new grafts for you, which the Genesis Tree will then birth in a gruesome display. Basic passives on the tree might increase item rarity of birthed grafts, or the chance to birth additional grafts.
So the season theme
These
is
passives can target
pregnancy.
specific types of grafts, and this passive causes grafts to be birthed with a random amount of quality.
We're
Quality
birthing all kinds of
improves the
shit.
amount of blood that can be stored by your grafts.
What up, Hunter? How
This
you
section
doing?
of the Genesis Tree births currency items. Basic passives can result in more or better currency. Allocate this passive to sometimes
Mm-hmm.
cause a shower of currency to burst forth from the flesh of the tree. Yeah, it's a bit gross, but
I don't know what that
working with
means.
the organic matter of a bunch of
What
dead
is
otherworldly
Mpreg?
creatures was never going to be a clean affair. Grafts themselves are born of a different world, so are unmodifiable by most currencies. However, with this passive, the Genesis Tree can occasionally grow fleshy mockeries of currency orbs.
Fleshy
These function
mockery
like
of
augmentation
currency
orbs,
orb.
regal orbs, or exalted orbs, but they work on your grafts
What?
instead of normal gear. Yep, it's graft crafting. Allocating
call
this
that
passive
grafting?
can result in foul-born currencies. This foul-born exalted orb, for instance, behaves as a normal exalted orb, except it guarantees a higher tier modifier.
Fetish
By locking out
fanfiction
a
content
large
about
portion of the lower
impregnation
rolls,
of anyone,
a normal exalted
even
orb
those
would be
without
able
a
to hit.
uterus. Hot.
The largest section of the Genesis tree is used to grow rare equipment items. For these, you have a lot of agency to influence the type and modifiers on your grown item. For example,
Can you imagine if they did
you can
something like this?
specifically
Like,
target boots
pregnancy aside,
with a
do something
dexterity
like this in
requirement,
Diablo?
with
People's
an increased
brains would
chance for
melt.
speed modifiers and reduced chance for cold modifiers. Or maybe you'd prefer to look for a two-handed axe with increased chance for physical modifiers. This section of the tree is for growing unique items. Similar to the equipment section, there are passives that let you target growing specific types of uniques or rarer uniques. The process of growth is not always a perfect one, however, and can result in some defects. This passive can result in birth
Can't believe how
uniques
slow
becoming
updates are coming out for
foulborn,
this. Every
which
4 months.
mutates one of the
Doesn't seem
existing
slow.
modifiers on the item
They're
into a
working
new
on 2
one,
games. And
resulting
They
in some
alternate back and forth
interesting new
every 2
ways
months.
to use that unique. For example, this foulborn quill rain no longer has increased projectile speed, but instead has increased area of effect. Another
You can
foulborn
craft a
quill
mage
rain
blood?
could replace the mana gained on hit with the much more powerful modifier where insufficient mana doesn't prevent your bow attacks. Here are some other examples. This passive even gives a rare chance for foulborn uniques to have multiple different modifiers mutated. I'm sure you'll come up with some extremely powerful uses for these. We'll leave it up to you to discover what this mysterious part of the Genesis tree can grow. So,
I do like that they're
ultimately,
just leaving
you'll be
certain
slaying
parts
masses
like
of breach
unknown,
monsters,
let people figure it out.
harvesting blood with the aid of your grafts, feeding that to the Genesis tree, growing some items and better grafts, and back again to the slaughter. As with all our challenge leagues, this league will come with a set of 40 challenges to pursue, and completing them will award you with the Keeper of the Flame armor set, allowing you to truly
wanna explain
embrace
so you actually
becoming a
play the
monk
game? Yeah.
and worshipping the Dreamer. Now, graph skills won't be the only new tools to play with.
Okay.
In 3.27, we're also adding a collection of new skill and support gems. Let's go over them now.
This is PoE 1.
Kinetic Rain is a new wand attack, which covers the ground in unstable kinetic energy.
That looks cool.
These hazards collapse at the slightest touch, releasing their energies into any unfortunate soul who happens to be standing on them. With enough projectiles and area of effect,
They
an
don't even know how it
enterprising
works.
exile could
I'm
carpet
sure
the
they
world
do.
in dangerous kinetic force. Wall of Force creates a barrier of kinetic power, causing allied projectiles to ricochet towards targets automatically. Drop one behind a boss, and redirect the bolts of your armies. I'm sure you'll find ways to break this one. Conflagration is a new bow attack which rains down
Why do
fiery
they all
bolts
look like
from
a rain of
above
arrows?
that stick into the ground and
Just
pulse
in
as
different
you
flavors.
approach. Once you get close enough, these bolts detonate, causing ravaging ignites. These bolts chain react, allowing you to create fields of incendiary destruction. Thunderstorm is a bow attack, which creates a whirling storm of wind and lightning where it lands. While you're within the storm, it will rapidly grow, until it becomes violently thunderous with lightning-infused clouds. At this point, leaving the storm will cause it to detonate, dealing damage to everything within and releasing a flurry of tornadoes in all directions. Attacking with Kinetic Fusillade will create hovering orbs of energy. These linger for a few moments above you, before zipping off to
so
nearby targets.
Some of
chaining
these just
between
feel like
them,
they were ripped
then
right from PoE
detonating.
2.
Living Lightning support will bring to
That
life
looked a lot
living
like
sparks of
Ember Fusillade.
energy. Elemental minions that zap through packs of enemies with speed and ease.
That looks cool.
Use these alongside your spellcasting to augment your pack clearing abilities, or find whatever means possible to cover the world in living sparks of ruin. Windburst support unleashes chaotic tornadoes as you attack, which ricochet around wildly and quickly. These deal moderate damage as they travel, but will explode into a highly damaging burst when they expire. So it's a choice between scaling their duration up to get better coverage, or down to access the burst more quickly. Kinetic Instability is a support gem to go along with the new wand attacks that causes enemies slain to leave behind those same orbs of shimmering energy that Kinetic Rain creates. One might ponder just how many orbs you can create
lots of
if you were
tornado
to
stuff.
use both.
Lots of raining
In
projectiles.
3.27, exiles will be able to absorb the power
intrigued by
of some
this.
of the bosses they defeat.
Oh.
These take the form of new Ascendancy class options, called Bloodlines. Bloodline classes are a new means of character customization in the endgame. They are secondary Ascendancy classes that are unlocked by defeating specific endgame bosses. They are allocated with your normal Ascendancy points, and you'll have to choose how many of your points
Yeah,
go
they
into
didn't really
the
have
original
anything for Melee,
Ascendancy
did they?
and how many
Although I'm
into
sure they
your
didn't show
Bloodline
all of them.
class.
They probably just
This
wanted to show
means
off
there
the
is a
flashier
nigh
ones.
limitless ability to mix and
Hi,
match
Roberta.
here, as you could choose to invest just a couple points into your bloodline, or max it out. And you could take any bloodline with
King
any
in the
base
Mist, huh?
Ascendancy class that you see fit. To unlock your bloodline, hunt down the endgame boss whose
Two
power you
Ascendant trees?
desire,
I don't think so. I
and
think you
defeat
still only
them.
get to pick one,
Or
but
have a friend
these are
help,
ones that you can like
and
unlock by
claim the
killing
power
bosses,
for your own.
I think, and then you can switch to it because you can
There are
respec your
10
Ascendancy.
bloodline classes to discover. Bosses who
think.
offer this power
Mind
are
the spooky
typically
movies? Yes.
associated with past leagues,
Diablo 4
giving
dead? No.
additional reasons to engage with that league content. Let's run over a few examples. The Chaos Bloodline will be offered to you by the Trial Master, if you manage to succeed his final challenge. With his blessing, you can greatly augment your Vow skills in different ways. Priest of Yalmak lets you use Vow skills much more often, while Priest of Kopek makes it harder to build up Vow skills, but makes them far more powerful. Or take Corruption's Embrace, which grants more Vow Keystone powers the more corrupted items you have equipped. The Ashabi bloodline can be gained by, you guessed it, defeating Ashabi. Her abilities are drawn from the 3 types of life force that manifest within as Marian spirits. The Wild Bear rewards you with adrenaline for generating rage. The Vivid Cat gives your elusive buffs a chance to refresh, as well as making you more
And
stealthy
we're introducing
while
the Druid
elusive.
class. JK.
The Primal Owl allows your unleashed spells to reoccur many additional times, and get stronger for each time they reoccur. The
What up,
Nameless
Zero?
bloodline comes from the King in the Mists. Be forewarned, his menacing power comes at a great cost. With the Unseen Hand, you can equip a 3rd ring,
We've
but
seen
you
that
have
before.
to decide if that comes at the expense of having no amulet, no belt, or no flasks.
Is Druid basically 100% confirmed?
Unlike
For PoE 2,
Silhouette,
yes.
adds a hefty
For
life
PoE
cost
1,
to
no.
all your spells, but they deal additional chaos damage based on the amount of life spent. Of course,
to head home
there
tomorrow?
is more to
Gotcha.
come. What
Have
powers
some
might you
seafood for
glean
me.
from delving deep underneath Rayclass to fight all the Crystal King? What secrets can you learn from Lycia, Herald of the Scourge, waiting at the end of the Forbidden Sanctum?
That's the Beast and the Ice's sister.
As you can imagine, there are countless possible combinations with the system. You could be a
I never
Slayer
tried a
that
whirlwind
embraces
type build
corruption
in
and
PoE.
vile
Maybe
power,
I'll try that because it's not
or
in PoE
perhaps
2 yet.
you'll play an occultist that doubles down on their dark power by integrating the Nameless bloodline. We are excited to see what crazy and interesting builds players come up with. In the most recent Path of Exile 2 expansion, the 3rd Edict, we introduced a much anticipated feature, fully asynchronous trade.
Did
It was
Cyclone
a
last week?
fantastic success. So now
Was it fun?
we're excited to announce that we'll also be adding this feature into Path of
Thank you.
Exile 1.
Thank you.
When you reach Act 6, you'll be able to find Faustus in Lion Eye's Watch. Previously, he just operated the currency exchange. Now, he will also act as a steward for your merchants tabs. These are where you can place items for sale, for direct and instant
Huge.
purchase
Wasn't bad.
by other players, even when you're not online.
Yeah, I might check it out.
To list an item, simply place it in the tab and select a currency and an amount.
And it looks exactly the same. I do like that.
Once listed, other players will be able to find the item by searching for it via the trade website
Could
or the
PoE 1
new
kill PoE
in-game
2?
market search.
I don't think so.
To purchase something for yourself, it's as easy as hitting this button, which will teleport you to the seller's hideout, where you can view their merchants tabs, buy the item, and also view the rest of their wares in case something else catches your eye. Every purchase costs a small fee of gold, as Faustus takes his cut. To account for this further drain on gold, acquisition and cost balance elsewhere in the game has been adjusted. Anything you've managed to sell successfully will have your profits collected here, in a separate tab to claim at your leisure. To be clear, previous means of trading, such as via pre-existing premium stash tabs and the website, will still function just as before. Merchants tabs, and the asynchronous trading that comes with them, are an entirely additive feature on top of the already existing methods to trade.
How you doing? Sup.
You might find yourself needing the trade system to buy some upgrades, because this update also introduces 3 new Uber Pinnacle boss fights. These encounters are manifested from the memories of Zana, and in her long torment, they have festered into something truly deadly.
Kind of just has win after win. They're really good.
These fights offer an imposing challenge, alongside powerful rewards. In order to gain access, similar to existing Uber Pinnacle fights, you'll need to discover fragments dropped by Tier 17 map bosses. Each attempt at the new Uber Pinnacle fights will require 5 of these. Let's dig into some of the challenges you'll need to face in these new Uber versions. In the original incarnation of Neglect fight, the statues can be used to block the laser beams to hide behind, giving you an opportunity to avoid being shocked, frozen, or killed. When you run near these statues, they activate and allow you to reposition them. While activated, they will not stop the lasers, meaning you want to position them well, then avoid them.
Yeah, no lift versions,
However,
only Uber versions.
in the Uber version of this fight, instead of being a safe haven, the statues will refract the laser beams, causing a ruckus of energy to cover the arena. Activating them will prevent the refraction, so unlike the base fight, where you want to position them well and then avoid them, you'll be wanting to constantly keep these statues active. But then, you have to deal with their assault of attacks. While fighting the incarnation of Fear, these fiery orbs will slowly clutter up the arena, locking off portions of it until you bait the boss into detonating them himself with his thrown spear. When Uberified, these orbs are attached by a flaming leash to the boss, rotating around him constantly. More and more will spawn as the fight goes on, making it even more imperative that you clean them up by cleverly using the boss's abilities against him. Normally in the incarnation of Dread fight, during the bullet hell phase, you have to acquire a red rose, run it to the boss, then collect a blue rose, doing the same, causing it to get heavy stunned and interrupting its mechanic. In the Uber version, you have to do the same, but in order to get the blue rose, you have to defeat the incarnation of Neglect, and to get the red rose, you have to defeat the incarnation of Fear. Good luck. Given the difficulty of these bosses, their rewards should be worth your while. Let's take a look at some. From the Uber incarnation of Neglect fight, we have Bitter Instinct, a spiky shield that turns retaliatory strikes into preemptive ones, making it just a matter of time before the long arm of justice crushes your foes. Alternatively, you might find Festering Resentment, a poisoned blade with an unending supply of toxins built into the hilt. These toxins are put to good use, causing every spell you trigger to be capable of poisoning with all damage it deals, enabling a truly crazy trigger-centric poison ruckus. And from the Uber incarnation of Dread, the Hallowed Monarch, a counterpart to the Dark Monarch, which focuses more heavily on investing into one or a few minions, rather than growing your hordes to massive proportions. Storm Rayclast, with your chosen few at your side, stealing power from your enemies as you go. We've got a number of quality of life changes to bring to 3.27 as well. Many of which you may have seen already in some of our pre-livestream teasers, but for those who haven't, Heist is a mechanic which has long frustrated some players who may otherwise have been interested in the rewards it has to offer, but have no desire to grind through the early progress of finding and running low-level contracts to get all of the rogues to their maximum level. Well, starting in 3.27, Heist rogues will automatically begin at maximum level, so you can start your dubious criminal career without all the busy work. Points invested into your Atlas passive tree will now be refundable with gold. Just speak to Kerak to do so. For players who love jumping between strategies, there's also an option to instantly refund your entire tree. which of course can now also be done
Don't
with
understand
your
heist?
regular
Same.
passive tree as well.
There's several
Now you
mechanics
can
that I
make
just
all
don't
your
quite
decisions
grasp.
with no regrets. Well, maybe some regrets. You no longer need to purchase bestiary orbs. You can now itemize
Gold
beasts
respect was our
for
best
free
change? Yeah, that was
directly from your
huge.
bestiary. From late Act 1, you can now mass identify your items at an NPC in every town, and from Helena in your hideout. This does not require Scrolls of Wisdom at all. While using an Alteration Orb, you can now hold Alt to swap to using an Augmentation Orb, if one is available. Opening a Blight Chest will now open all other Blight Chests near it. Rogue's disenchanting services can now be accessed from towns and hideouts. Kerak missions now have a handy icon to show at a glance what kind of mission they are. Holding down Control and right-clicking on stacked decks will now continuously open them to your inventory, notifying you in chat what the outcome is. If you still want to open them direct to the ground, to let your loot filter provide a dose of dopamine,
Yeah, these
you
they
can
already
still
posted
do
on their
that too
YouTube
by
over the
also
last couple
holding
days,
Shift.
but so much in each patch.
Val orbs can be
We gotta
used
start a
on
new character,
monsters
we can use
encased
one
in
from last update.
essences.
If you
to
wanna
the
play the
same
new
effect
league,
that Remnants of Corruption
You'll have to start a new one. But if you don't care
When
about playing in the
multiple
new
skill
league, then
gems
you
are
can
ready
use
to
the old
level
one.
at the same time,
Same as any other
you'll now
ARPG,
be able
really.
to click this button to level them all up at once. Next up, we're going to be talking about our new League supporter packs. Today,
Yeah,
we're
this is PoE
launching
1.
2 new series of supporter packs, the Champion of Theopolis and the Verdant Magus packs. Each tier contains the pack's full face value in points, alongside several
Yeah, PoE
exclusive
2,
microtransactions.
their update's coming in December.
As
this
always,
one comes out next
the
week.
microtransactions in these
Whoa!
packs are purely
It's a Red
cosmetic
Bull.
and do not affect your character's power or progression in any way. The Champion of Theopolis series of supporter packs contains 6 exclusive microtransactions.
Oh, you thought it was PoE 2?
Manifest a champion's ferocity.
They have a lot
as the
in common,
Lion's
so
Might
it makes
unique
sense.
finisher effect rips your enemies to shreds. Open
And a lot
the
of this stuff that
Champion
we
of
can unlock
Theopolis
in PoE
portal
1 will
to
also
end your
unlock in
crusade
PoE
through
2,
maps
which is
in the
nice.
style expected of a true victor of the
What
arena.
did PoE have to do to get a Red Bull sponsorship? Yeah, I don't know.
Defeat your enemies like a true gladiator, wearing
Speaking
the
of,
Grand
I need my
Champion of
Rockstar
Theopolis
sponsorship.
armor
What the
set.
hell?
The armor awarded only to the most elite warriors of the Grand Arena. Take charge of the situation and storm into combat with the Flaming Minotaur's Quicksilver Flask effect.
The Champion's Podium map device rises up to honor the glory you've achieved as you activate it.
Ascend the stairs and stand atop the platform
You don't play this
as you
one?
enter your maps.
I hear that.
Each flame surrounding
I've
the
not
platform
gotten as deep
represents a
into this one
remaining
as I
use
have
on your
other
portal.
ones, but I still enjoy it.
The burden-back Billy Goat carries all the supplies
Billy
necessary for a campsite as he travels behind you in battle. When placed in a hideout, instead of roaming around like your other pets, their supplies are deployed, creating a small camp where you can access your stash and providing a place to take a load off while you rest next to the campfire. The Verdant Magus series contains 6 exclusive microtransactions. Having Faustus sell your items on your behalf is great and all, but sometimes you just want to feel a little bit more shady about your dealings. The Back Alley Trader hideout decoration is more secretive with your trades, creating distance between you and your customers. Note that until 3.27 is released, this Back Alley Trader will only serve as your currency exchange. Once it's out, it will be updated to have the new Managed Shop option to also facilitate your trades. The Verdant Wayfinder pet is a loyal companion to any Master Magus.
Sorry, I had to
As
check
you
something real
approach
quick.
waypoints, it envelops them with its vines, guiding you throughout Rayclast. Control Earth and nature itself, as the Great Verdant Magus armor set envelops you in the ancient power now lost to time. There's also a matching back attachment included. Remnants of the forest ripple out from within you with the Verdant Magus level up effect equipped, restoring life to the corrupted land. Call on an ancient golem to use their power to create a safe passage for you to retreat through with the Arcane Golem portal.
That's kind of
As
neat.
a Supreme Verdant Magus, you can travel to your Arcane Isle hideout.
Level
A
up effects,
cluster
yeah.
of islands held together by ancient magic passed down between elite mages. Stand atop your tower and relish the great heights you've reached above those who have not harnessed the arcane. These packs are now available for purchase on both PC and console and will remain so during Path of Exile, Keepers of the Flame. Additionally, any microtransactions from these supporter packs will be made available for use in Path of Exile 2.
Noise.
Meanwhile, the Crypt Keeper and Frisian Magistrate packs leave the store forever at the launch of the Keepers of the Flame League. So now's your last chance to purchase them.
Oh, the FOMO.
Thank you so much for your ongoing support. We're just about to start the Q&A with Ziggy D. Afterwards, we'll post the full patch notes for Path of Exile, Keepers of the Flame at 11 AM New Zealand time, 3 PM Pacific. With release at the end of next week, our community team will be posting crucial information you'll need for the release. Keep an eye on the news. We're looking forward to holding off the Breachlord's conquest, crafting gruesome grafts, planning dozens of Bloodline-empowered builds, and filling out our trees tree. We hope you all join us.
Are we good? I hope we're good.
G'day Exiles and welcome to the post-reveal discussion and Q&A
it all travels
with
over, yep.
Jonathan and Mark, lead guys who make games.
Internet took a cat nap, it really
discussed
did.
as the titles.
Yeah,
That's the
official
official.
I need to
title.
move.
Excellent. I like it. It's good. We're talking about how to inflate their titles in the lead up to this. 3.27 Keepers of the Flame, the reveal we just had there was, I think, quite a banger, but I've been even more impressed with what I've been playing here in the office with some of that, so we'll get into that in a moment. But I'm curious, this is kind of like a special kind of reveal day for PoE 1 fans, as
Secretly
I
works
think
for them?
it marks a return to schedule for us. You announced this plan to do the 4-month cycle for the games, two twos, and
I'm guessing he lives very
seems
close.
to be working.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly hard, I'll tell you that, right? Like, it can be pretty brutal on some of the stuff when it's like, every 2 months you got a deadline. But yeah, I mean, look, we have to do it, right? Like, I mean, that was always the intention, to get, the regular schedule. It's super important. So we have to make it happen. We have to make sure that that's something that we can do going forward. But yeah, I would, like, I'm honestly, I'm so happy that we managed to, to get everything back. And I think it helps a lot.
I think like things feel a lot less like crazy here this visit for me, like, and things seem a bit more of a finished state as well from what I've been looking at. So
well, we're putting a lot more effort into sort of getting that production process down, making sure that everything's going well. Like, we're hiring producers at the moment, just by the way, in case anyone's out there is like looking as a for a production job. But yeah, it's something that we're really concentrating on, making sure that because when you've got a schedule like this, when it's this tight, you have to be really, really careful, because like I would say one of the hardest things that we didn't expect, trying to make sure that we get the schedule this short, is you start to become really vulnerable to just like random things, like this person gets sick or like something like that, and that's like suddenly it's like a real challenge. So that's been real hard to adapt to. But yeah, I mean, honestly, we have to do it.
Because PoE 2's 030 kind of, we missed it by a week or two as well. Like, normally that's okay.
Yeah.
You slip a week or two, but now all of a sudden, now you got a bit 2 week more overlap with 3.27. And it certainly has less room for error. But again, that's why more production staff should help. And we are just going to get better at it. But yes, we made it to 3.26 and now 3.27, mostly on schedule, give or take. One was, you could argue one's an anomaly, 2 is a pattern, so hopefully it should continue as normal, but we'll get better at it 100%, so we'll work out the kinks, but there's always going to be some growing pains to
they're still working on
to
getting
6
everything
releases a
ported
year,
over to
for
PoE
both,
2,
across both
but
Path of
they
Exile,
did say eventually
I
all of
remember
them should
thinking when you
transfer.
guys were doing 4 releases a year that was crazy, so 6 is pretty wild, but it seems to be happening, so fingers crossed it keeps happening. Is the contingency just that, like, occasionally you just might delay by a few weeks?
I don't want to. I really want to be real strict about it. Like,
we said we'd stick to the time and adapt the content around the time. Like, consistency is key. So hopefully we can keep doing that. That's still our current philosophy and plan. So yeah.
I think you were telling me once before, Jonathan, that when you have that for a while, it kind of helps everyone get an idea of like scoping a lot better.
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
content,
I mean, look, it helps with everything, right? It helps with the players just feeling the consistency. It helps with like developers. Like it's just overall like a way better state to be in.
So, Breach 2, aka Keepers of the Flame. It's the first real direct sequel league in PoE. Now, I know we're kind of sequeling with stuff in PoE 2. There's like definitely follow-ups there, but this is the actual first true sequel league, and it seems like people are pretty keen on the idea. I think the reception's been pretty good so far, first impressions. What are your guys' thoughts on doing a sequel? Were you like anti-sequel, pro-sequel? Because I know people kind of...
I would say personally that like, so whenever you do a sequel, you're entering a dangerous territory because people who didn't like the original could then now be like, oh, I'm disappointed because like as soon as they hear that it's a sequel to something they didn't like, they're like, it's not happy. So you could just be ruling out a bunch of people in your audience right away. Now, Breaches, I would say, is a pretty popular one, so like there's less danger there.
Yeah.
But effectively, in order to make a sequel to something, I think you really have to be doing something that had to be a real banger back when you did it, so that people actually, are definitely on board from the beginning. In general, I'd say would prefer to do stuff that's like new, but I think this one was a good fit. It was a good example of something to do, and people are liking it. So it's
I mean, as Jonathan said, yes, like some leagues are more divisive than others. Some have more kind of X factor out there gameplay, with the whole Blight Tower defense, and some of them are more maps and a bit more crazy. And immediately you do turn off some people, and we know that going in. When we make these, we try and make it something good for everyone, but Breach had that, just like you're just slaying hordes of monsters. You're just killing. It's the classic. We talk about reinventing the wheel. Here we talk about not reinventing the killing monsters in circles. And it has that. And by the way, that is a massive thing when doing the sequel, is we must keep the killing monsters in circle. Because the last thing I want to do is, and this is another risk of a sequel, is take something that people love and then just ruin it. We really focused on the weaknesses of what Breach had, because it was 9 years ago, almost to date, I think it was. I think it was December 9 years ago, so we're almost there. Yeah, just if you want to feel a bit old for a moment there.
My back, ow.
And I actually still remember working on it. It does not feel like it was that long ago. I made those 5, the 5 Breach Lords back when, and put together all the monsters and all that interesting stuff back then. And I was like, what was I doing? Like we took the player characters, put some micros on them, and dunked them in red paint.
That was the style at the time.
It was like, so it's not only been fun to come back and do a sequel, which, by the way, we've codenamed Breakwell, which is obviously a given. But
important.
We've coming with like 9 years of lessons learned. Including with all the lessons learned from PoE 2 as well, and then coming back and being like, what do we know now that we didn't know back then? And it's like, okay, let's not sabotage the gameplay, the killing of monsters, the killing monsters in a circle, and let's focus on the weaknesses. And so then we looked at, okay, well, nowadays if we were to do a league, it generally comes with some character power arc. You've got some crafting system. There's generally a meta system, and then that's where you get like the graft, the Genesis tree, and all that stuff come in. And again, focusing on that, less of like focusing on the combat mechanic this time around, because we kind of knew that was a success. You'll find that it might be less trivial with some of the other contents that's a little bit more like crazy with respect to combat, but. We'll see.
I'm definitely eager to dive into like basically all of the things you mentioned there. But out of interest, what's like a league mechanic or a expansion that you either would or wouldn't want to sequel at some point? Like, what would be a bad example? It's maybe interesting.
Well, I think the one that you said there with the tower defense stuff, it's just like, that would be very divisive, right? Immediately, if we said doing a sequel in PoE 1 to that, there'd be immediately a bunch of people would be like,
I like it.
I know.
I think you'll get both ends of this. I think you'll get the most passionate people wanting it, and then you'll get the most people that hate it on the other side.
Right.
For sure. That being said, like, it isn't like, oh no, that means Blight's never getting improved.
Right.
There's differences between overhauling and improving a league.
Yeah.
And obviously doing a narrative sequel where you kind of step away from some of it, and so really here it's like, yes, Blight, there's so many leagues, right? Insert all of them will get attention. Sometimes they'll just be quality of life, similar to what we've done with Heist this time round, because honestly that probably deserves more, and then other times it'll just be an upgrade. I certainly wouldn't want people to say, oh yeah, we're just going to do sequels from now on. That we're definitely not. Like, I don't think it's going to be the most common thing. I think it's just a thing we decided to do here, and maybe we'll do it again sometime, but
most of the time I think people want new stuff and different new things.
I like the revisits. I wonder. There's definitely some lore and stuff I'd like to see expanded. Like I feel like Harbinger, for example, touched on some stuff that was maybe only scratching the surface.
Part of what allows us to do the sequel here, by the way, and from a more production point of view, is that because we did the Twisted Domain and the new Breach monsters in PoE 2. We got to utilize the monsters. So we didn't take the bosses from PoE 2. We made full from scratch boss fights for this version for Keepers of the Flame. Cool. But for the monsters, a lot of it's reusing the models, the animations, the rigging, a lot of the art side of it. And because we get to do that, we get to then focus our attention on all those other things that we would otherwise have to have a bunch of resources dedicated to. So like there's a kind of like two birds, one stone going on there where we not only got to do it, we got to do it in a more cost-effective way that allowed us to focus on other features that are going in the expansion. So, win-win for players and for us in that regard. But, it would be less trivial with other sequels or to other leagues where we don't necessarily have all the monsters and everything made like that. So, not to say it's impossible, but it's just an interesting factor that came up that allowed us to do more here than we might, if we don't forward think enough or forward plan enough, and I mean quite far in advance, because like making these full monsters from scratch is not a short-term process. We might not be able to do for some other leagues. So, just a kind of fun internal kind of consideration that we made.
What is that?
Well, like an
on
interesting thing here as well with the fact that Breach is in PoE 2, and I don't normally get into lore, so lore warning.
Something labyrinth.
I'll try and keep it as oversimplified as possible because I definitely have delved into the deep end of the lore of this stuff. But so to simplify it, PoE 1, Chayula, baddie, we fight them. They're like the pinnacle boss from the first game, and yet in PoE 2 they're like explicitly not there as part of the boss of that, and also there's this lore kind of exploring the idea that they helped humanity at some point. So I'm curious if this expansion is kind of filling out the story in the in-between here, maybe explaining some of the stuff.
It 100% is. That was a huge other win we got to do here, because really there was like, okay, there's the breaches in PoE 1,
this game has story?
Previous to Keepers of the Flame, and then there's kind of breaches in PoE 2 with the Twisted Domain.
Are you sure?
Like, wait, how did we get here? What happened? Okay, so it's 25 years. It's what's going on here? So we wanted to, given again, because 9 years ago we weren't really putting that much into the narrative of leagues and into you'd find back then. We're not far from Onslaught League back
also,
then, right? It was just 20% of some stats. So, and even when we had Anarchy, there was Exiles, but like there's named characters, but we didn't really have voice acting for anything. Like we've kind of stepped up our game in a lot of delivery of that. So
the Lord's
now we get to come back and go, let's establish a bit more about Breach. Obviously, there's uniques and flavor texts historically, but yeah, we got to establish a little bit more.
That is a PoE
add some
thing,
interesting stuff to it. Meanwhile, also,
what up, my buff? How you doing?
Progressing the narrative towards what if people are playing PoE 2C. Now that being said, if you just play PoE 2, you don't need to know all of this. If you just play PoE 1, good on you. You now know it all. It's all entirely optional information to know, but you kind of have this. Worth noting, on the kind of Chiola arc, there's a bit of like, is he good, is he bad kind of thing going on. Still to be determined, at least for the players.
I've got a cult following, but that doesn't necessarily mean one way or the other, does it?
He was a baddie here, you're an acolyte of Chiola over there.
Yeah.
What goes on in between? But
I was reading the flavor text of the acolyte of Chiola this morning, and I'm like, even that doesn't really kind of suggests that maybe it's not a good idea to be following them, but but there's power.
But like the monastery of the Keepers of the Flame is actually where the monk trained and from PoE 2 grew up and all of that stuff. So kind of little fun bits there. People playing both games will appreciate it. It's still great. It's going to be great in either game, and it allows us to develop. So because look, they're both set in Ray class, it's still a shared narrative, and it's nice to be able to like evolve all of that. And it's honestly been fun, really, honestly doing all of that.
It's cool. It's cool to expand kind of like some of the story of the Ascendancies there as well. Like you're getting a bit more of a tie in there as well. But you said the monks trained there, though. I thought you were just telling me earlier that the monks trained here in the studio. What's
technically now, officially, the monk has been trained by
They're working for
one
me.
of our IT administrators here.
You might have to refresh, though.
He was the person we used.
I don't look impressed. I'm just
not sure what the
listening.
martial art is, but he's
I'm excited
very
to
well
try
trained.
it.
I believe a black belt, and we used him for our mocap reference.
That's so cool.
Hopefully he doesn't mind me mentioning that, but it's quite fun. I think our animators enjoyed that one a little bit as well. So
That's awesome. You guys hadn't really done too much of that in the past, or?
You mean mocap?
Yeah, like
I mean, the
mocap
animators always film visual references. So, like, they've got a room basically where they go up and they're just, like doing all the animation, acting out. They're often not actually mocapping technically with like all of the suit and everything, but they're often filming that and then doing animation to it. So it's pretty common.
I'd say one of the most useful pieces of technology that we've been able to benefit from is it's a literally single phone shot mocap and very quick from recording to in-game animation. It works really well for animating obviously humans, but also for when it's involving just a single human. It's like ultra quick. Like if you have two and they have to interact and make contact, it's not very good at handling that. But it's been insanely fast. So you just get a single small tripod with a phone, and you can record a human and chuck it in game pretty rapidly. So that's been amazing, and honestly, almost all of the human animations you'll now see in game where it's not someone punching or hitting another person. So like, it's not the best for combat and kind of scripted cinematic interactions between characters, but just those kind of freestanding town idols and all of that stuff, you can do pretty rapidly now. It's been a pretty big improvement, I'd say, in a cool way. So
yeah, and I mean, you're getting like PoE 2 quality stuff in Path of Exile 1 as well. Like I've definitely seen things like that's a lot more going on there than there usually is in PoE 1. You're just talking about the fact that the original bosses were just exiles with extra color filters on them, right?
I mean, everything new that goes into PoE 1 like has been a lot higher standard than some of the early stuff for a very long time, right? Because it's not like you have people being like, oh, you know what, I'm going to make this worse quality because it's going in PoE 1. Like obviously they're going to make something look as good as we can make it, right?
So artists are artists,
exactly, right? So
I mean, the good quality art.
You could probably phone it in a bit more, I reckon.
They don't. No, an artist doesn't want to do that, right? They want to make stuff that's good. So
who wants to do that?
Yeah,
I
That's
appreciate
a
that
quick
mindset.
way to remove their job satisfaction.
Right.
Make bad stuff.
It's too good.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So you mentioned the sanctity of the kill monster in Circle. So on the mechanical front, I noticed that there's actually two distinct types
Live
of bridges
interview by
here.
Diablo. This is about
very
Path
much
of
close
Exile
to the original one,
They have
but
a
then
new
there's this
update
Hive
coming
one.
out
What are
next
the
week.
differences between the two and how
So
they work?
we've got 4 encounters total. At the more common one is the kind of what we're saying is the hive. So the breach have come through those the hand portals. They've stabilized the breach and are now building their hives. And so you'll come across there's heaps of
pretty
walls
fun.
and
I'll play it for a little
constructs
bit.
and some half organic, half inorganic. And you get the little spider things, which I think is the Twitch drop for the stream. You get those and they're kind of building and they're like putting together like molecule by molecule building these hives. And that's the one where you come in and you get given the power
my
of
drops are
the
working.
Keepers of the Flame, and that can just incinerate away all of the material, and you're kind of just like running around pretending to be a righteous fire build for a moment.
I'll just note as well, like you don't have to click any doors or like jump into any walls. They just evaporate before
You just run around. You run around
so
burning
good.
stuff. It's kind of satisfying. You see ash going everywhere. There's a couple of things going on there. So generally when you get to the center, you summon an Aelith, you start the encounter. And effectively just kill a whole bunch of monsters.
Yeah.
They're trying to get to her. They're trying to kill her. They're not super effective at it. We're not doing the whole like, they are persistently wanting to aggro on her. They're going to try and kill you. That's honestly more of an immersive flavor thing than it is like meant to be too interruptive of a mechanic or anything like that. Again, because I wanted to just keep killing monsters being the primary focus.
But there is a thing where the more walls you burn, the more stuff you
there's
get.
amongst all the walls you can get these like spawners, these like hive portals, where the monsters can then come through. So if you want to activate more, to have more monsters, have more difficulty and get more reward, you want to burn as many of those hive spawners as possible, and then they will turn into portals once the fight begins. If you just want to run to the center, start the fight, do the fight and leave, go for it. The other thing here is, though, that, of course, obviously this can be a bit of a clear, speedy thing where it's like, So, during those encounters, using the power of the purple flame, these kind of purple flames scatter out, and each of them kind of has a skill attached, just like an oh shit button. And so like if you're getting overwhelmed, there's like different things you can just click
I
if
have
you
been
wanted
playing a lot
to,
of the new
if you needed to.
PTR
Most
for the
powerful
next
characters,
season,
you'll be fine.
and I'm pretty excited about
just
it.
as it kind of like will send out a
Definitely
giant
has some
nuke
issues
and
that they
clear
gotta figure
stuff, or
out,
like create this
but
like
I like the
flame
direction that
wall, and
they're taking
anything
it.
that runs into it will burn, and that's
There's
honestly
been
more to help out
an
players that are
insane amount
kind
of
of
feedback
struggling
that
or
the
on the
devs have
weaker
been
end
going
and aren't
through.
like, able to kind of keep up with it. So it just
Some
normalizes
good,
the
some
difference
bad.
between bottom end and top end a bit.
I'll be very curious to see what happens in
Again,
December
not
or
meant to be
January or
intrusive,
whatever.
not meant to be like complicated. We kept it
Justin.
simple,
I was
and
like,
it's
what does
just
that say?
like
Oh.
99% of it
I mean,
is just
when you boil it down, it's basically just like a fast-paced wave defense. Like, just survive 6-8 waves of
Pretty
monsters
much,
that are
yeah.
rushing at you pretty fast, and but it doesn't have that same clear speed pressure that the like basic one has.
Yeah. So that's one encounter. Second encounter is like the traditional breach, the one that players have, historically been playing. You activate a thing, the breach expands out. So these are breaches that haven't been stabilized yet.
Yeah.
So they haven't come through to build their hive. So you activate it, it starts expanding, you kill all the monsters, it's revealing, and then once you've killed enough, and if you can kill enough, like it can be kind of hard early game, but like towards end game, that's your goal. You'll notice a progress bar filling up, and once the breach gets to the end, that means that it will become stable. And so what was going to happen is when it becomes stable, the breach are going to send through their like difficult monsters, their elites, their enforcers, their front line to come through and secure the area so they can send through their like little worker spiders to start building their hives. So this is like a yet to be a hive. And so you obviously don't witness all of that. Generally, what you do experience is you kill enough monsters, and then in the center, the portal activates and a bunch of monsters and often a boss floods through. And so now you have to go back to the center and fight all that, kill everything, defeat the boss, get the loot, and then everything drops then and there once you successfully do that. If you can't do it, run away. That's up to you. You can still play it the older way if you want and like not get so much rewards, just kill as many as you want and move on. But generally speaking, you'll want to go back to the middle. You want to kill the either waves of hordes of monsters coming through the portal or the boss that spawns.
That like locks open then once you reach that stabilization point.
Yeah,
So
it
you
locks
don't have
open
to
the
rush.
time. So that's another good thing. Yeah. So the existing breach. I mean, obviously, it's pretty outdated and even imbalanced, and often people were killing the breach lords, the wild ones, in like a matter of seconds. But I wanted to make sure that boss fight didn't have a time condition. So once it stabilizes, that's it. You just once you kill them, it closes. You have infinite time to kill that boss and fight those monsters. You're not just like, oh my god, I got to do it. So like it is a more substantial, and generally because you've cleared everything in that circle now, it's like it almost like you created your own arena. You've got like a nice clear area where you can fight that boss and focus on killing that boss. Now he has minions in a regard, so obviously it's not just one-on-one, but that mechanic's like quite cool. So that's the like Varun, the Marshal of Zesht fight. He has some specific drops. You generally want to kill him. And then, so that's encounter number 2. And then, encounter number 3. I know it's going on a bit of a thing here, but these next two are a bit quicker. Encounter number 3 is the kind of sky fortresses you saw. It's very similar to the first fight. It's kind of like, oh, we didn't stop this hive. Some of these hives have been getting built for weeks or whatever, and now they're like, full giant mega structures. So you climb the beanstalk, as I called it, the breach beanstalk.
I watched a little bit of it, but
you get up to the sky fortress, and honestly, it's kind of just like a map of breach monsters.
There's no
clearing
timer.
through.
It's not like
No
Breach
timer at this
Legends.
point. You can just clear the area and leave. Taking your rewards with you, but in the center is like the hive encounter, the very first one, like a wave-based encounter. It's just a lot more epic, and you have to, the same exact thing, except Aelith's like, it's going to take a lot more explosive power to destroy the rest of this hive and seal this portal, so you might want to get out of
when
here.
the next class comes out
So
too,
generally speaking, once you've killed all the waves, you then have to get out of the
everything
area
that we've
before
heard,
Aelith
it sounds
burns
like
the
the
entire
druid
thing
was
to the
supposed
ground.
to come out in 0.3, so it is going to happen.
Normally
in
you can survive
0.4.
that, not in this case.
Like I would say,
you might want to get out of
95%
there.
sure. But
Once you do, you get all the loot.
That one was delayed.
Sweet. You're not going to get that encounter too frequently.
Additional one in December.
But, it can be a little bit of
we
fun,
might
a little
get
bit more
maybe.
action-packed when you're trying to escape.
Maybe.
And then the fourth
Fingers
encounter is
crossed.
pretty similar to that, except it's just an area with your pinnacle boss, your endgame boss fight at the end of it.
And you basically didn't show those in the trailer, because I did know that people were like wondering why you showed kind of so much of the Uber bosses for the regular content, but you didn't really show any of these guys.
We generally avoid showing bosses for sure, especially new ones. You get a silhouette of it, a single emerge shot. And yeah, for sure,
Are they dropping
for
a new
the
class?
Ubers, we're like,
For PoE
well,
2, they are.
They've got like 10,
We're
15
still waiting for the
skills
druid
each.
to be
Let's
added.
show one mechanic
In
we've
addition
changed
to
of
several of
each,
the
you
other
know?
PoE 1 classes that have not
maybe
come
not
to
the
PoE
best
2
option.
yet.
Like I know people like their full mystery, so
in
like
PoE
maybe
1,
lesson learned in the future might just show
there's
nothing.
not.
But
Yeah, they're adding
we
druid.
only did show one of all of their skills that have
In PoE
changed.
2.
You know, just so people get a general grasp of how they're changing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I probably given the feedback, I'm probably just not going to show those again. So
Fair enough.
you know, we'll let it be a mystery. But yeah.
So this skill tree, you actually did it. You made a skill tree. Well done.
The tree.
But this,
Are they bringing in
this
swords yet? They
tree
haven't announced
tree
anything
is
yet.
quite fascinating because it's not just a.
All we know
like
is
a
that druids were
meta-progression
supposed to be in
system for the league or
0.3 and they
something.
weren't,
Like,
so
there
they
is
should be in
that. It is
0.4, but
progressing,
beyond that,
but
we don't know anything.
It's also
We should
it is
find
a
out
crafting system. It's a
in,
tree that
like,
is
2
a
months?
crafting system, and from messing around with that, like, it feels kind of brilliant. Like, this is a really good idea. How did that come about?
There's kind of a mixture from Chris Octavian and I can't remember who. Me and him and kind of Andrew. We all
The
kinda
next
just,
season
like,
starts
we
at some point in
came up with
December. They
ideas,
haven't
but
announced it yet,
I
though.
think the original tree
Nothing's
that
been
spawns
announced yet
items or
about
grows
PoE2.
items and then hatches items came from Octavian. And the grafts, mind you, as well. He's got a
He's
nice
cooking.
creative brain.
How long do I
on that
stream
one.
today?
Comes up with some
Probably
cool
not
ideas.
much
I like,
longer,
you know,
honestly,
that
because
kinda
I do have to run over
out
to
there
my
style
eye
of
doctor
design, which is
shortly.
good. And
I want to be on long enough to where
yeah, so
people on
eventually
Twitch who have been
we took
watching
that
the
kind
whole
of
stream can
idea.
get their
I was the one who
drops,
brought
which
Breach to the
looks like
table and was
mine's
like,
at
oh, we can
88%
unify these,
currently.
and that came from a interesting
but I
thing
do
where
need
in
to
the
take off.
Twisted Domain in PoE 2,
Not
you get
too
these
long. Never mind. I'm at 97%.
you have these trees made of hands that the environment artists made.
It's gonna be a pretty short stream
and
today, though. I should be on longer
really
tomorrow.
love them, and I'm like, normally because you're on a timer in that area and
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
going hard, you're fighting monsters, you don't really get to appreciate a lot of the art assets in there.
So I'm not sure what game I'm
And I
playing
was like,
tomorrow,
oh,
though.
damn, I want to use those trees, but have them because I think they're petrified in that version. So it's like, what does that look like when it's a bit more alive, a bit more organic, a bit more gross? So yeah, we kind of came up with
gross,
this tree, and tree that hatches items, and it has this fruit, and then we were like, nah, like I don't want just a tree that has fruit. We just make it needs to be gross and dark and horror. It's like this is a gothic world, and so yeah, we obviously went a little bit more crazy with the theming on it all. But I like it, right? It is dark. It's like you've got this alien-esque demon species, right?
Squeezing the items out like with a bunch of plus.
Yeah, it kind of came like that, and then it's like, wow, it needs a meta progression. The good thing about the
claim
tree
now.
having a
I
passive
got
tree
my drop.
is we get to
Gothmons?
reuse all the same code that our passive trees use.
See you later. Updates ready. All right,
and then
enjoy.
The other, because it's good because then you don't have to make a completely bespoke system, and again, it's picking your battles, being able to focus more on what the nodes do as opposed to the
hands be
system, the
purple?
underlying
Nice.
system.
I think
And,
what's
um,
pretty
smush
interesting
them
about it, though,
beats.
is the way that, like, it actually, for crafting, it's quite interesting how it sort of encapsulates the idea that you've got, like, various dependent choices. You don't normally think about crafting in that way, but that's really what crafting is. And so it kind of, like, means that it's actually a surprisingly natural interface for crafting. Like,
That's what was
works,
striking me about it,
it works really well. And so, yeah, that's kind of a pretty interesting one. I don't think I've ever seen it before, someone doing anything quite like that. So
Yeah, like I've
it's
seen
quite
some crafting trees and stuff, but they're usually
Yeah.
separate or there's like some little bit. But yes, like that's what I was thinking because I'm thinking a lot about like how do you communicate crafting because it's a pretty complicated thing generally, even at its simplest in Path of Exile. But this does seem to have like a very natural, more understandable way of communicating it because you're allocating the nodes for the craft. You get to see the
Misha's got them
structure of your
Thanos
craft in a visual manner, which I'm like,
It is cool.
So,
And how did we go this? So we've got multiple character trees. We've got
What are we
world area
watching?
trees. Is this the first crafting
Path
tree?
of Exile.
Well, there was the
patch
one with the items. I don't even
3.27
remember the name
released.
of it anymore.
There was the
Crucible.
Yeah,
I
the
am
Crucible
aware.
one.
Yeah,
It wasn't really like
that was
so
items. That was
big,
items
yeah.
having trees. That wasn't
Yeah,
a
a
tree
little
to
different.
craft.
Yeah. It was an
item
You could
growth
kind
system,
of
yeah.
argue Scourge is like the whole microwave mechanic, kind of. It wasn't really a tree. It was like a grid. It was a bit different, So I don't know. It might be
I
our
don't know if I
first
ever did
true
Scourge.
crafting tree.
It's like I just can't help but wonder. Like we'll see, I guess, after a league, but I just can't help but wonder if you like accidentally stumbled upon one.
I
of
don't
the
know what it means
potential
either, really.
solutions to like how do you communicate crafting
New game
players
update
because it's so
coming
hard
out
to do.
next
It's
week
like
on Halloween.
maybe this has applications elsewhere. This
We'll
idea.
see. We'll
Who
see how it
knows?
goes, and
I might have to
there's a
play
lot
it
to
in
expand on
costume.
here, of course. Like when you have these kinds of tree
knows?
systems, and immediately people are going to be like, oh, keystones and where's my crafting tree notables and masteries and jewel slots.
My cluster jewels for my crafting tree.
Yeah, build your own crafting tree.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll see where it goes, but obviously that depends. We don't want to overcomplicate it off the bat, so you come in with something
Dress
kind of
up as a
simple,
sorceress?
elegant. See how
I'll
it
dress
works.
up as a
See how
goth
people
mommy.
respond to it.
Wait, what?
And then if things go core, because we always like to decide based on how the players respond, we can evaluate how we want it to be, if we want to change it, if we want to leave it as is, if we want to, so we'll do all that. But yeah, it's cool. I like
My neck
I
is
like how a lot of
crunchy
the
right
ideas
now.
come here with
Just
that,
don't be excited.
with that and the grafts and stuff like
Yikes.
that. There's some pretty crazy cool things.
So talking about like the idea of preserving some of the stuff from the old breach or what's not being kept. So you had the old breach lord domains. They're effectively being replaced or removed here.
So those are all we've kept. Breach 1, I don't know what you'd call it, fully intact on standard. Whereas on this league, it's the full Breakwall Keepers of the Flame mechanics. So full replacement. None of that is there in the current, while playing in Keepers of the Flame. Like, all of the breach nodes on the Atlas tree are gone, and all that. So you've got the current league. Obviously, our intention is that it goes core, but we'll take the better elements of it. One interesting thing here is obviously we still have all the old stuff. So if we miss the mark on some things, it's still there. We can bring it back. We can integrate
That
it.
answered
We
the
can,
question. I missed it. What did he-
obviously,
what did he say?
it would suck, to have to then accept that we have to keep using all the old art and old mechanics and old fight to some degree. But like,
That-
if they're more
that
fun,
very
they're more
much
fun. I
didn't
don't
fit in the
we're not
box.
necessarily here in the business of taking
This
away
new
things
breach,
that
old
people
breach is
love.
only
So
in standard. Okay.
obviously, I'm pretty confident in what we've got is going to be amazing. And as you said, first impressions pretty positive. So. But worst comes to worst, if we have to take the best of both worlds and merge them, then that's still what we're going to do. Now that being said, so yes, you don't have breach domains in Keepers of the Flame. You've got all those new mechanics I described earlier. But that isn't to say there isn't a future where we have a prequel to the prequel, and we have or an update. Not necessarily another sequel, but you bring back some of those things that were good about it. So immediately I can see people coming to mind, but what about the uniques or the rewards? We have kept all of that. All of that can be
Fancy.
spawned from the tree. You can grow pretty much all of it. You can find. I won't reveal exactly how to do that. You can figure that out.
Yeah, nice.
But you can generally get all of the historic rewards from Breach from the new mechanic as well. We've tried
Best
to
day
keep
ever? Oh, you're
Does this
excited
mean
about the beat?
breach
You can get some
rings
honey?
finally get a revamp after sitting there with the silly thing that
Yeah, well,
no
they
one
got
uses?
their improvement in PoE 2, so we had already accepted that having a double effect while in Breach, especially given that's only useful some small percentage of the time generally,
yeah.
not good enough. So yes, the Breach rings have been reworked. I believe the implicits are all max res of the corresponding element types.
Peanut butter and honey sandwiches are amazing. I agree.
This one is whatever, we'll deal with that. But I believe it also restricts or constrains the mods you can roll in it. So it's like Zoff rings, fire mods, etc., etc.
Cool. Sounds rather interesting. The unique crafting as well looked pretty wild. Like, I was pretty excited to see that. I expected it to be like it would remove a modifier and then just replace it with like a random rare modifier or something. But it seems like they're actually handmade modifiers, like there's bespoke modifiers, and even multiple of those two core random ones. Is this just
My
like a
internet
long
looks
list of them?
okay right now.
Surely you can't do 1,000 uniques worth of those. Like,
I actually don't know what
was
number they got
worked
to,
earlier.
but effectively it was just like, we'll just go until we run out of time. But yeah, like there's just a whole bunch of
I don't know.
uniques. It is
Yeah, I
here's
need
the
to
list,
move or
here's the
something.
list of mods that it can lose. Here's
It's
the list
been
of mods
super
it can be
inconsistent
replaced with
lately.
on a per unique basis. Yes. Again, not all the uniques. I almost assure you it won't be the majority. And obviously you're not going to be getting pinnacle boss uniques from here and stuff like that. Those are restricted to things that have specific drop locations. But yeah, that being said, it is a list. It would
Move
suck
to Canada?
lose the key mod on an item. So generally speaking,
I moved
we
to
don't
Canada.
allow,
I'm certainly not moving to Poland.
What gives that unique full identity to be removed? A lot of it can be either the fluff
Just coming in.
stats,
What are they talking about?
sometimes the downsides.
They just announced the
some
Path of
stuff like
Exile
that. So, yeah, we'll
3.27
just
expansion,
kinda
which is
see what
basically
happens
Breach
there.
2.0.
If people love that, it would be the thing where we can add more and more and more and more, and then eventually we will have the entire unique pool covered. So we'll just see how that goes, but
Wild.
it's kind of fun.
You love to see it. So the other thing was these creepy arms that you can grow on yourself. I love that. We just, here, have an arm. Sure. Just plug it into your back. Why not? I mean, we were shoving rusty bits of metal in
Move to
ourselves.
Canada,
and
try to
stuff
find
before,
housing. Sounds
so
like fun.
Why not continue
I
with
would
that?
just get an apartment wherever I go. But,
But
Diablo, you feel like I
these
made my
are,
own
like,
A tier to
it
S
was
tier
in the
cracking
video,
energy
but
build
I
without
didn't
any help.
really
Hell
kind
yeah.
of understand kind of how impactful that'd be until I was messing around with it, especially for leveling. But these are like pretty major skills and an extra layer, because especially so there's 16 of them, and you can have 2 of them, and they're like a mixture of auto casting skills, proc based things, so like on attack or something, and manually cast in some cases as well. Like I had a tornado that was like crazy. So these seem pretty significant.
Starting to draft people for the war.
What's kind of like the plan for how impactful you want these to be, or like, especially at endgame, like they'll definitely like
Is
very
this
impactful.
on the
while
topic
leveling.
of PoE 1 or 2? 1.
Obviously, there's
we'll be
always
getting the PoE
going to
2
be a
announcements in
spectrum
December.
of usability. And, generally speaking, yeah, they're going to be pretty powerful.
I'm just sitting
But
here.
you know how strong
playing
characters
with
can
my
get.
pickle.
They can generally outclass everything. That being said,
I was laying on the
for a
couch
long,
earlier
long,
playing with
long,
my
long
poop
way,
cutter.
they're going to be pretty damn useful.
What's wrong
And
with
even
me?
beyond then, there's generally you can scale the difficulty of the game like hectically. You'll notice like something I think you observed as well. The numbers on the
You'd get
on the
drafted, but
scales are
Ryan
like out of
wouldn't?
control.
Yes.
Don't
That
don't
is
get
because they
dead.
don't scale with your stats.
Yeah.
Obviously, debuffs on the
I think I'd
enemy,
be too
anything
old.
you debuff on them does. But yeah, they don't scale with your increases. The reason for that is that I wouldn't want it to be that
Only taking women in the
if you're a
medical field.
spellcaster, you have to use one that's doing a spell, because you generally focus on increases. And I didn't want it to
So I
be
think
that,
PoE 1 is
now
worth
in
it
order
if you
to
start
benefit
on
from
2.
grafts, you have to really only invest in
PoE
global
1,
damage increases and stuff like that.
I feel
would
like it's
restrict
not
the
as
character
hard
builds
as
too
PoE
much.
2.
So we made them not scale
it feels
with
a little bit
character, like your
I would
character
say
stats.
PoE 2's
Obviously,
here
again,
and
as said, if you
Diablo
reduce the
3
resistances of
is
the
here,
enemy,
and PoE 1's kind of in
takes
the
more
middle
damage,
somewhere.
that kind of stuff. But yeah, there's a kind of a lot of them that vary from utility through to just
what
like
they're talking
pure
about going into
offensive
effect?
power.
1 week from today,
They all
on
also just
October
come with
31st,
stats. So
the PoE
and yeah, as you said, if you
3.27
didn't
leak.
want to like, there's ones where you use skills and you can use that tactically. You can merge that with some of your abilities, or if you just want to,
Yeah, it's
effectively
their
let it
their first
autocast.
ever
There are versions for that as
sequel
well.
leak
If you
because they're doing a
just can't be
sequel to
bothered, that's
Breach.
also fine. And honestly, if the worst comes to worst, at the end of the day, they still
Is it
kind of
like-
just give some mods.
Is it a
and
character change like New
that's
League?
fine,
So,
and
like they're
they
not
are obviously
there's not
used
a new class.
If you want
but
to get
it's
one that just
like a new league, like
specializes
starting
in
over.
harvesting more
You'll have
graft
to make a new
blood,
character and stuff. Yeah.
that's also a thing you can do because those systems are linked. Like the grafts do gain the graft blood, which is what you give to the Genesis tree to give the item. So there's kind of a nice interlink between.
I mean, they should really be replacing the
Abyssal
power
just
that
started?
you
No,
previously got
this is for
from
PoE
mercenaries,
1.
right? Like,
Yeah.
if the league
Abyssal's
needs to
PoE
give
2.
you a, something that's going to fit in that power curve. So therefore, you could look at it in a similar.
They are
a similar
mercenaries
way.
on your back.
Yeah, in a way you could say that. Yeah.
That's what I was kind of thinking when I was messing with it. It's like, okay, so we're going to have 2 of these. It definitely
You're only
feels like
2 player?
how I was
Yeah,
looking at
I like
mercenaries
2
and picking
more,
mercenaries
but
that
I
have,
do
like, 2
play
really good
both.
skills.
Right.
It was kind of a similar
I'll
idea.
probably
so
play
the
this one
design
for a
of
couple
mercenaries
days.
has informed this.
If it's really
somewhat,
good,
then
maybe
it
I'll play
seems.
it
Sadly,
more.
you
but
can't gear your arms.
I'm only expecting to play it for a couple
put
days.
items
Can't put a
on
bunch of
them.
rings
You
on
can do
them.
some gloves.
I would
tie
love to
gloves,
be wrong.
yeah.
I would love to
tell your
wanna
arm to
play
hold a
more.
sword. That would have been kind of
But
fun.
after
though.
this,
That would be pretty cool.
when is the next ARPG update?
The way Octavian explained the
I don't know.
graphs to me was he said they're
Because
not
it looks like
you,
we're
and
getting
I'm like,
D4
somehow
and
that's really
PoE 2 in
creepy to
December,
hear.
although D4 might be
They're
pushed to January.
attached to you, but
Who
they're
are
not
they
a
then?
part
And
of
then
you.
we
That was
don't know
explaining the
anything
scaling,
about
like that's why they
Titan
don't
Quest 2's
scale with
next
your
update
stats because
or
they're
no
not
rest for the
you.
Wicked's
They're
next
independent
update.
life forms and therefore don't benefit
I
from
just got
your
your
passive.
Amazon Lightning Arrow build decent.
We didn't do this, but we had
Nice.
a desire to do unique ones,
Oh.
which I thought was kind of going to be fun. We might do this later, like going core, we'll do it, but we're like, what if you, and I think it was Octavian's like, what if you had a leg growing out of your back? What does that mean? And I was like, what if you had like a good jacked quadrilla arm or something? Because I was like, you could just have unique ones where they have like just like deformations, and you can have like random, deformed, crazy things going on, or like, you know, I think I had a design. I was like, what if there was one that was like converted? You're like, I don't care about the League. It converts all Graph Blood to gold or something, and it's a kind of like cursed pirate treasure arm or something. And you know, we'll see if that goes somewhere later. But I think that could be kind of fun to play around with. So
There's definitely some sort of like biomutant kind of combining of limbs and genetics and stuff potential here, maybe.
yeah, later mechanic, right? Like nice to have these things you can expand on. So.
Yeah, so it looks like you can synergize with them, but you don't necessarily scale them directly, like you're saying. You can debuff enemies and things like that. While we pan down to some of our additional questions, I've been noticing some that get mentioned a lot in chat that we'll kind of transition over to briefly. So WASD gets mentioned a lot, like if that's something that's planned for Path of Exile 1, if it's feasible, what goes into
So
that?
in order,
It's a pretty big deal.
In order for WASD to happen in PoE 1, we need to get the rigs from PoE 2. In order for that to happen, we need to finish moving all the microtransactions over, which has definitely been a bit of a slow task that we kind of, need to get through.
Yeah.
And so effectively it would be like, we do want to do that at some point. And then after that point, we can make WASD for PoE 1. But yeah, it's just a question of getting through all that work, and then we can do it. Like, I'm not against it by any means. It's just, it's just, I mean, I want it to happen. It's just getting all those things moved over to the new rigs is the limiting factor.
Yeah, and you want it to be kind of reaching a certain threshold, it seems like, of quality.
Well, I mean, so yes, you
'Cause
can
do it.
You can do it by
Like a
just like
controller.
where the character just rotates.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say that gets like that. The quality of that is really not great. Like, I don't think it feels good. So yeah, I kind of want to make do it with the proper rigs that we get. And look, that would be so beneficial to everything anyway. Like, we're highly motivated to do that because it means that we don't have to rig a bunch of stuff for the old rigs anymore.
You want more skins
which
and shiny
a bunch
things?
of artists
Oh,
would
we'll be getting
definitely
more for
appreciate.
sure.
So yeah, like we will get that done, and then but yeah, it's going to take a while. Like, it could be quite
Probably
a
the
while.
biggest benefit from the rigs is just that we're going to then be able to actually do a lot more new skills.
Yeah, animation.
In PoE 1 as
Yeah,
well that actually use new animations, and it's not going to be an absolute nightmare to try and make. So that's going to be epic when we actually get to that point and can just be like, okay, floodgates open, let's go and make a whole bunch of new skills that are using new animations. Because you'll notice, even though we have a bunch of new skills in this patch, it's all using the existing animations and different means of delivering it. So generally speaking, we have kind of your spell projectile, spell AoE, spell buff. They're kind of separated into all these categories.
Yep.
And so when you generally do a buff, you just use the buff one, and
Venus.
AoE use AoE one. But as a result, we don't have just cool
Anything
bespoke
good yet?
things where you
Yes.
I don't know, do a flip while doing a doing
Yeah.
crazy stuff
I
like that.
mean,
We're not
it's
going to be able to
Breach
really
2.0.
get that in PoE 1
There's
just because the cost
a bunch
is
of new skills
insane
being
to
added.
animating that. You
There's a
got to
new
do that on
tree
7
for
different
Breach
characters,
specifically.
7 different rigs.
We're going to be
All
birthing
different,
items. Yep, you
weapon
heard me
sets.
right. Birthing.
Yeah, with every single weapon set. And because generally PoE 1 doesn't have as much restrictions on the weapons to skill association, it would you'd be like, it's
Been playing a month and a half on PoE 2.
It's not
Already
great.
bought the
It's really not
Liberator of
great,
Rayquaza
and it would be
pack
like
for $500.
the cost of
Yeah, I
doing
did the
that would mean
240
we'd have
pack.
to
I
do
didn't do the
so much less
$500
other
one.
stuff.
Anything exciting? There's some cool stuff in
just
here
a
for sure.
random tangent on why the rigs
There's-
would be
it would be
beneficial
too
as
much
well.
for me to
like,
try to remember
immediately
and go
I'm just,
back
oh my
through,
God,
but,
please, I want to do new skills that are
if you
But
like
we will
Breach,
do-
you're
we'll
really
do it
going to like
eventually.
this update.
It's just porting all those stuff.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting insight that you even plan to kind of bring this PoE 2 rigging system over to PoE 1 for animations and things like that, because that indicates that the future of Path of Exile 1 is not very static visually. Like, obviously we're seeing new stuff getting ported back, but potentially a lot of stuff getting remade and updated, and PoE 1 is anticipated to change a lot in that regard over time.
Well, I mean, yeah, it just like for no other reason that it makes our lives easier, we need to do it. But yes, it will have the side effect of making the game look better too, which I guess is good.
So another thing I saw mentioned in chat quite often was asking for Trial of the Ancestors, and what's the plans or status of that?
I mean, we want to do it. That ultimately is just a resource thing again. It's one of those ones that it can't be one-to-one. It was too gameable, too solvable. Got to a point where it was like, this is the strat you do. We need to fix a bunch of stuff with it. It's not out of the question. It's honestly just whenever we assess the scope, it comes up all the time. It's like,
When's
we could
this?
do
December?
this,
Next-
all this, this,
next,
this. What
next
do we-
Friday.
And it's
Wait.
always going to come at a cost to something, and
Yeah, next
it
Friday.
just has been so far.
I thought it was 1 week from today.
you
It's
know,
1 week from tomorrow.
at least 326, 327 that we've wanted to make sure that
This
we
is
had
for
other
PoE 1,
priorities, I
not
guess
PoE
is
2.
Safe to say.
Halloweenies.
TBD. Who knows? These every single time we don't plan too far in advance with the stuff. So
Yeah, I
generally,
feel
when
like Mark's better
the
at
next league or the
explaining
next
things,
two leagues
in
worth
a
of
way that makes
discussions,
sense
it's
to
we have a list of things that we
normal
could
people.
do. It's in that list. I'm sure it'll come up at some point. So we'll see.
Feel free to be coy about this, but it seems like since something similar is occurring in Path of Exile 2, that might help you kind of solve some of these questions for PoE 1. Maybe that gives people an idea of a time frame.
Well, as I said once, if obviously there's a could do with respect to PoE 2, but if we manage to go down that route, we get to do the exact same thing
All right,
we
chat.
did with Breach.
I gotta
here,
get to
which
my
is
eye
that
doctor.
if we have all the
I
monsters
was hoping
made,
to hang out
and
for
a
this
lot
whole
of
thing,
art
but they
made,
just
a lot of
ran
encounters.
forever.
So even if it doesn't appear the
you
exact
wanna
same
watch
way, it'll allow us
Twitch
to
or
do a massive
YouTube,
shortcut,
look up Path
which
of
would mean that
Exile,
all of a sudden
or
it
find
is way
another
more
streamer who's
possible
gonna
to
be
add as a
streaming it.
feature without
I'm gonna
having
get
to
out of here
compromise too much
until
else, so-
tomorrow, though.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
I hope you all have a fantastic
let's talk
evening.
Endgame, and I'm sure you're anticipating a
Of course, we're
discussion
talking
on
Endgame now.
Tier 17 modifiers,
Anyways, I will
modifier
see you guys tomorrow.
design,
Have a good
addition
one.
to memory strand maps, risk scarabs, and map modifier effects. So I list all these things out because they all